Hello, all you fans out there, and I am your host, BisuDagger. For today, I will be showing you Team Fat versus Team Ajae. Welcome to week number 2. It is so exciting to have you guys here, and oh, I must tell you first, I have been informed that my cast would only be improved if I decided to wear more hats during my cast. So today, I will don a hat. And so now we have the BisuDagger Dapper Hat Day with this cast, and I promise if you try and say that 10 times, you will fail. Now that you have heard everything I have to say, I must tell you the most important thing there is out there today. Donate on Matcherino.com. Enter the code FATBROODWAR, FATBW, to donate a free $1 towards this event. Please, guys, do that real quick. I will give you some time. Then we will go into game number 1. Very, very important that you guys help donate towards this event because these foreign all-star players are playing awesome, and these Ajae legendary players are so cool to be able to participate into this event. So please go to Matcherino.com, enter that code, and game number 1 will be underway very, very shortly. I'm holding you to it. And here we go with game number 1. It's going to be Bonnet versus Firebat Hero. Welcome everybody into this cast. I am most excited for this cast to go underway. I do apologize for not casting last week, but we did have Esports John who was holding up the helm, so thank you there. Now, Team Fat versus Team Ajae did play last week, and this is a 4-week series, so just remember that. A 4-week series, and last week, Team Fat managed to win. That is just absolutely phenomenal that they were able to pull that off. In this best of 5 series, it went all the way to game number 5, where Bonnet defeated Zeus. In his second matchup, he actually played him in an earlier series too. And Zeus was just really impressed with how well Bonnet played. His macro was just outstanding. So that being said, just great job by Bonnet, and shout out to him as he does start off in game number 1 against Firebat Hero. And here's the deal. There was a prequel series that was played out between Team Ajae and Team Fat, and in that series, Firebat Hero won his game pretty handily. And then he also won his game against DeWalt in week 1. So Firebat Hero undefeated against foreigners and total against Team Fat. And he is not only the captain, but the host, the caster. He's just playing an integral role here for Team Ajae. And he's going to be really difficult to take down. So can Bonnet do what it takes to take out Firebat Hero? Let's talk about the keys to victory for Bonnet. Bonnet, first of all, he loves go for the Carrier Reaver micro style. And it's something that was really popular back in the early 2005 and before stages, before arbiters became much more popular. This was the style for Protoss players. Now, it's not like Bonnet has popularized it. It's not no other Protoss player seeing this and running with it. Bonnet seems to be the only player who really pulls this style off well still. He practices it all the time, and it is just incredible to see him play against Terran players and take them down. In fact, if you do watch Fight Club, the best of series against Koget was very impressive by Bonnet, as he was able to take down Koget, who is an amazing Terran player. Also one of the backup players on the roster. So let me give a shout out to the roster here. So for the foreign all-star team, it's going to be Bonnet, DeWalt, Eon, Zerg, and True Touch in that order for today's matches. And then on the other hand, we're going to have Firebat Hero, Rainbow, Zeus, and Go Rush. And if it gets to set 5, we will have 1 repeat player from the previous 4 players that have played today. And I'm very curious who is going to be sent out. Will it be a rematch if it does get to game 5? But this is a true best of 5, so 3 matches will be played. If it's a 3-0, then that will be the true end of the series. But I don't think so. The foreign all-star team, coming off so much momentum right now, is just really excited to get into this today and prove their worth and win 2 weeks in a row. And that would be absolutely phenomenal. So we do have the factory opening here for Firebat Hero, who's playing conservative. And the reason why is, even though he has the scout out in here, he's probably going to want to go ahead and scout the corners. Overwatch is not a map that he is comfortable with. It's not one that he has played often on. Probably just practiced a couple games before this, or just did a quick overview of the map. So you can see here that he's sending out that SCV to get that quick scout. Meanwhile, we have range on the way for the Dragoons. It's gonna be almost nearly halfway done, and a gateway opening with range. I love that this Dragoon is getting sent out here. Because most importantly, if this is going to be one of those like bio tank vulture pushes in the early stages, kind of like Mind likes to do against Protoss, then you want to have this Dragoon all the way across the map so you can anticipate it, and if need be, drop down a couple gateways so that way you can get enough Dragoons out to defend at your natural base. So 4 Marines, not a 5th Marine yet. He doesn't see that there is a 5th Marine, but a 5th Marine will pop out. And it's going to be Spider-Mine first. So what you do is you get your tank out here. Then you add in just several vultures. So you only need 1 tank because the tank is just going to be super stout. And that tank will move along with the Marines. And vultures, because of their high speed, can move out and just lay down the Spider-Mines. Now, because of the style of build we're seeing from Bonnet here, you see that range is going to finish, and then he's going to work on an expansion. It means that his robotics is, his observatory is probably going to run a little bit late, and that means he's not going to be able to get observers out right away. Okay, we can see and confirm that the Marines and this tank are going to be pushing out, and the Dragoon makes contact at this choke point. So this is a good spot where you can maybe pick off a Marine or two if you had an extra Dragoon. But trying to micro just one single Dragoon does make it hard. 2 Dragoons back over across this bridge, and this is where Bonnet is going to want to take his initial stand. Firebat Hero is going to have to really focus on some micro to make sure that his Marines don't go down very quickly. 1 Marine and pretty low health, 2 Marines already going down, but the Spider-Mine throwing down the strat is going to make it so tough. Eliminating that Vulture is great, but 2 of the Spider-Mines have already landed out on the map. And a Dragoon does go down. It looks like the health getting low on another Dragoon, while 2 Marines remain and a tank. Let's go look inside. So there are 2 more gateways that are going to be warping in. And the robotics facility doesn't have that observer, like I was saying. So with the speed of another vulture, this is going to be really tough. Another vulture you can see coming through here. And what does he have in the queue? Another tank. So another tank is going to be coming up on the helm. And so even if he loses this tank, the harassment can continue. Sitting at 36 health though, it's going to be tough. It's going to require 2 hits to take out this single tank. And now with these Spider-Mines here, the Dragoons can't just micro the way down the ramp to hit it. Oh, he does get 1 hit. So he gets 1 hit on that siege tank, and he may have to sacrifice into these Marines to get the next hit. It's going to be very, very tricky here for Bonnet, but he's going to want to move out and eliminate this tank because it can easily kill off these probes. And very, very quickly, you can see the health going down. As he drags the probes in, or the Spider-Mines in, he does manage to kill off that last tank. So this tank, though, it's straggling, but it is going to make it across the map. And will it get any damage done? I think because there are a few more Dragoons that have been queued in here, the first observer is about to pop out too, that the Spider-Mines can get swept pretty quickly, and then this tank could probably get chased down. Is Bonnet going to be able to jump on the opportunity here to chase down this tank? The tank's getting across the bridge, but the Dragoons, they have the higher speed, they've got the better range, and so with this tank microing, it's going to try and get 1 Dragoon down, but the Dragoons are too high of health. They will end up just killing off this tank and safely returning home. There's a Marine and tank here, but the Marine and tank will not make it all the way to Bonnet's base. So you can see another factory dropping down. Behind this, you want to add in an armory, which you can confirm here, and maybe an additional factory or 2. Because at this point, Firebat Hero doesn't have the strength or production to be able to put on another assault in the next 2 or 3 minutes of the game. So it's focus on macro, out of buildings, and prepare for the mid-game stage as a Terran player. And you can see another observer dropping out. It's very important that you have these observers. I love that Bonnet is going to be getting a good scout out at this natural base. He's got the vision here to confirm, okay, there's 2 tanks here, but what is Firebat Hero really preparing himself for? What he's doing, which is really nice, is just kind of fanning out his vultures, laying down the Spider-Mines. Eventually, he'll lay down the Spider-Mines, so he has a nice full vision of the split map control. Meanwhile, there should be a Stargate coming in here. Yes, the Stargate, it just finishes warping in, and then, let's see, a robotics support bay. Yeah, the robotics support bay does come in. So this is going to be Reaver first, Reaver carrier micro. And if you're unfamiliar with this, as I said earlier, Bonnet loves this build. And what he does is he says, it doesn't matter if your opponent knows that you're going for a carrier build and builds a bunch of Goliaths. as long as you micro your units efficiently, macro behind it, you can win with this build no matter what. And so build a ton of glides. That's fine. Well, instead of using Storm, you use a shuttle and drop 2 Reavers on the army, and the Reavers just pop shots off and kill just waves and waves of glides. It's very, very effective. Meanwhile, you have to control your interceptors all at the same time. It's a very actually micro-intensive build for a Protoss composition. And I love it. I love seeing what he's doing. Now, +1 is going to be on the way. And we can see, when is another Stargate going to be dropped down? Meanwhile, over here, it looks like a little quick micro battle. Another cleanup of the spider mine. You can see that the tanks are kind of pushing in on this bridge. Controlling this bridge is really important. In fact, putting a tank here could be really nice, because you can get really nice range. In fact, you might even be able to hit this pylon. Of course, Firebat Hero wants to be careful. He doesn't want to lose these initial tanks recklessly, as he is the only player, well, one of the only players to be undefeated against the foreign all-star team. He knows that he has to win game number 1, set the pace, and say, I'm taking this back for the Korean League. The team Ajae can win and will win. So while this heated rivalry between Fat and Ajae does continue, we can see that this is just an enormous amount of Dragoons that are being used instead of Zealots. If you look in here, it's all Dragoons that are getting microed up. Here comes the Fleet Beacon, so that's being added in. And then a Stargate up at the north. I wonder if Firebat Hero would scan, only see the Stargate at the bottom, and then not see this Fleet Beacon, an extra Stargate up here, so he wouldn't anticipate this carrier build. Now the Reaver is out. The pressure on this army can occur, but you got to make sure you're on the other half. Overwatch kind of has this weird rocky split. Oh, okay. Is he really? He's going to go for the Zealot bombs here if he can. Oh my god, he loses the Reaver. Oh, unfortunate micro. There's just too much firepower coming from those tanks, and they take him out immediately. But he's still looking to drop down the Zealots on top of these tanks. Opts not to. And the 4 Marines are going to push back this shuttle as it manages to retain its health and just lose some of its shield. Looking back here, remember I was talking about adding in those factories. Really only 5 factories here. Firebat Hero was one of the players to popularize the 6-fact 2-base builds. But instead he's going for a later 6-fact plus style build to allow himself to instead expand, get this mineral only, and just slowly work himself towards his opponent. This is another pretty safe base for Terran to take. But I wonder if, because he's going to be sieging up in the middle, that Firebat Hero finds this as a better position to expand to, even though there is not a gas to take. He can expand behind here too. Actually, this is probably the safest third if you're trying to take a gas third. But he might be, oh my god, is he really double expanding the bulk? We can see that the mineral count getting up to 400. He could build another command center here, but he does not. So let's look. Another Reaver inside of the shuttle. The shuttle just pokes in, but nothing gets done. The Nexus is expanding at the safest base for Protoss 2 as it takes the additional gas. The carrier count is starting to get higher here as another carrier has been queued up. 2 carriers in total have been added to this mix. It looks like there was a little bit of carnage here, but the Reaver, it's still alive. Oh my god, these Zealots are not attacking. Remember I was talking about how this Reaver could do some heavy damage on top of the Goliath. It manages to get a shot off. The Dragoons are just in a perfect position to keep this shuttle alive. And for whatever reason, maybe the range isn't done. Yes, so range wasn't done on those Goliaths during that last engagement. Otherwise, that shuttle would have surely gone down. Meanwhile, another SCD over here. Look how just Firebat Hero is fanning himself out. He's taking over the left side. He's doing a north to south split with his army and expansions. This is just insane for Boneth. He's getting this extra gas. He's going to have 3 strong bases. The carriers, are they anticipated at this point? You can see a lot of Goliaths coming out. Let's look at what's queued up. Just nothing coming out for this Terran army. Sitting at 133 supply. Now we can see that the Goliaths are getting queued up. 142 supply. So the macro in favor of Boneth, who manages to have a higher supply cap at this point. Very, very impressive for the foreign all-star Protoss player, who is 2-0 undefeated in this 4-week series. Now we can see again, let's look back at home, that Zealots have been queued up. Zealots really important to have on the ground. You want to be able to use them and utilize them as Zealot bombs. Is there another Reaver coming out? Just more observers to fan out across the map so Bonnet can anticipate where his opponent is going to be. 4 carriers in total. Looks like a 5th one being queued up at the star gate at the left side. Meanwhile, we can see that Bonnet is just still taking his time, being very calm, doesn't want to engage against these Spider-Mines until he can use the Observer to clear out the left side. And he's got himself in a pretty good position to encroach upon this Terran army. So look at this, the majority is Goliaths, and that's fine. That is what Firebat Hero is going to need to be able to win here. And more Goliaths are fading through, and the total factories is going to be up to 6 factories. It just looks so sparse. Science vessels could be nice too. They can help a little bit. I guess you can EMP a carrier to help take down those shields, which makes them a little bit softer for the Goliaths to move in on. But overall, the science vessel's effectiveness is reduced compared to if it was an Arbiter build. That one shuttle, we do got to keep an eye on it. So the carriers are moving out towards the left side. And this is going to be very, very important. This is the first major aggression that Bonnet is going to be putting on Firebat Hero. And can Firebat Hero deal with the pressure? Oh my god. 4, 8, 10, 12 or so turrets sitting inside of this base, just phenomenal. And look at all the Goliaths that are in that proper position too. The Vultures kind of patrol the ground area here, making sure that nothing does come in. And Bonnet is in a is kind of in a tough spot on where he's going to push out. This map split of the heavy rocks, the bridges, make it tough to move by ground effectively into these tanks. But he's got a micro around these ridges, and he's got to get his Dragoons in a pretty good spot too. Zealots at the front so they can take that damage as the splash damage rains down on the Gateway army. But now we're seeing that we are at 2-1 upgrades. I saw the autocannons in the anti-air. And almost a 2-2, almost maxed out also. So this Protoss army is going to retreat. Meanwhile, look at this. Expansion warping in over at the left side. Very, very important. Expansion has been taken for Firebat Hero, who will have an additional gas base up and mining completely very, very soon. And now the carrier micro started to jump in here again. Can Firebat Hero deal with the micro of Bonnet? Bonnet is so good with this build. You can see his interceptors just dying pretty quickly though to these Goliaths, and there's a lot of Goliaths. Heavy control is required for the Goliaths to be used effectively. It's not just a given that the Goliaths will be able to deal with this. Very, very important though that they focus on the on the right units. Are they dealing with the interceptors at the right time? Do they kill off the Zealots first? Are the tanks getting the kills that they need? These Zealots are not being effective. They have to retreat one more time. It looks like Bonnet is in a pretty tight spot here as the Terran army has managed to cut off the left side. So Firebat Hero sends a quick unit down towards the bottom left. He will be able to just send a few Vultures and completely take over that left base. It's going to be important for Bonnet to be able to hold on to it. Let's see, are his carriers looking soft? The carriers still have a decent amount of health. They're alive. The third base is mining pretty effectively here. Oh, okay, so you see what he's doing? He's actually trying to get his interceptors out by attacking the assimilator. It's a quick micro trick to get your interceptors out, so that way you can just send them while you're attacking. As long as you're moving your carriers, your interceptors will stay out. So that's really what he's trying to utilize here, is that effectiveness. Now the problem is, even though these High Templar are coming out, Dark Templar here too, the Gateway army is in a really, really tough spot because it has to funnel down a pretty thin area. But you see that the units, as they try and move in here, the tanks are just way too strong. The effectiveness of these carriers is not there because so many interceptors are dying very, very quickly. This may be the end for Bonnet if he cannot break through here. Not enough storms came out from those High Templar. He's going to try and bust this army down though. One more time, he pushes out with his carriers. This is a critical position though. As you can see, the tanks here hitting on the high ground. A Vulture in here too to kill off the probes. There is still this base over at the left side. Still mining a little bit, but I anticipate that Firebat Hero is going to go scout over there if he can. Look at this Interceptor Micro trying to take down a few of the tanks, but these carriers can't afford to get hit. 2 carriers go down. Firebat Hero dwindling. Look at the Micro, the EPM from both these players sitting above 250. It's just absolutely insane. The tanks coming over here, they do see that there is this additional gas base down at the bottom left for Bonnet, but Bonnet does not have much left to help out. His Gateway army is almost completely eliminated now. Will he be able to hold on? Firebat Hero has so many bases right now. So many. Look at that. He has the top center. He has the top right. Still has the center and collecting minerals here. The carriers do move out to try and hold down this left side base. The tanks will eventually fall. But I don't know if he has enough to close out this game. Nearing the 20-minute mark. The Goliaths looking strong. 2-2 has completed for these units, and 2-2 very strong position for Terran to be in. Wonder if we could actually get the interceptors. You can see that +3 is actually finished up, which is very, very impressive. Getting to +3 at this point in the game. Bonnet really focused on upgrades early on. You can see that it kills off the Goliaths quickly. The interceptors are very effective, but the problem is he just doesn't have enough ground units to hold this army off. It looks like the mining is gonna be completely eliminated. Now, how many carriers do remain? There's no base here. There's no gas mining. And I think that we're just reaching an economical checkmate. Unfortunately, no more carriers can be built. So if these carriers do get taken out, look at the Dark Templar coming in here. Firebat Hero needs to throw out a scan. And oh, he storms his own Dark Templar. Yeah, the Goliaths are able to just push forward. They're ignoring the gateway units, and that's a really bad situation to be in. When Terran is so wealthy that they can ignore your ground units to focus on the carriers, that's a bad spot to be in. This Dark Templar only have 2 kills. Bonnet is going to call it GG, and that's going to be game number 1. Firebat Hero still undefeated against Team Ajae. With that being said, guys, I am BisuDagger. Welcome to the cast. If you're just joining in, game number 2 is going to be starting very, very shortly. What an impressive game that we just saw, though. And I cannot wait to cast DeWalt versus Rainbow on Fighting Spirit. I will return very shortly. Alright, listen up, you StarCraft fans out there. Just because this is a commercial break is not an excuse for you to do nothing. Right now, I need you guys to get on Matcherino.com, which is the sponsor for this event. Yes, for Team Fat versus Team Ajae, it is really important for you guys to use that coupon code at the bottom, FATBW for Fat Brood War. If you enter that coupon code, you will donate $1 free. All it costs is just a few minutes of your time. You can use your Twitch account. You do not need to create your own account to sign in. So please do that. Also, if you want to, check out that wallet that you've got next to you. Look inside and say, hey, I could donate an extra $1 myself too. If all of you wonderful people out there donated the free $1 plus $1 on your own, we would be able to reach the goal of this event. We need to reach $800 so we can support those winners and losers. Last week, Team Fat won. Don't we want to make their wallets fat too? This is exactly what we should do. So now that you have had the time and the opportunity in this commercial break, really, really important for you to contribute as much as everybody else has. Thank you so much again for watching this event, and I will see you on the flip side. Welcome to game number 2. I am BisuDagger. We are watching the BisuDagger Dapper Hat Cast Day, and I welcome you to Fat versus Ajae Week 2 League, and we are about to watch DeWalt versus Rainbow. That's right, we are going to have DeWalt spawning down here at the bottom left-hand corner, and Rainbow spawning up at the top right. With the Team Fat down 1-0 against Firebat Hero, I would say that things aren't as daunting as you would think. Just because Firebat Hero is almost just a certain win. He is just one of the best players available for that team. So no doubt, that was a tough one for Bonnet in game number 1. I'm just going to go ahead and toggle the top right to yellow. Because I feel like it is important for us to be able to distinguish the colors of these players very easily. But still, it is going to be Rainbow at the top right. Do not mistake that. And then down at the bottom left, it is going to be DeWalt. Both these players, what are they going to do? Fighting Spirit, 4-player map, and a little bit harder to find your opponent. And when you have cross spawns like this, I find it very, very fascinating in a PvP because you actually can get away with a greedier build and longer distance to travel by ground. So you may not be able to apply that pressure right away. Also, what I think is if you build zealots early on, if you build like a single zealot just trying to maybe do a little bit of early damage before you scout and don't scout the cross spawn right away, I think that your zealots are just less effective. And you may not be able to take advantage of going for a zealot first over just maybe trying to go straight towards dragoons and have dragoon versus dragoon only. But we can see that this is going to be a cross-map scout coming out from Rainbow as he does send his probe out right away to understand what his opponent is going for. And actually getting the first scout out against your opponent is very, very critical because you can react right away into what you anticipate your opponent is going for. This does suck for Rainbow, who was looking like he was going to get that scout out really quickly, is instead going to be going towards the bottom right after he goes and looks for the cheese of the potential cheese gateway build. But a pretty fast assimilator here coming out for DeWalt, and I wonder if DeWalt is going to try and bust out some sort of cheesy build. Maybe DT if it is possible. DeWalt's not as strong as Bonnet in PvP. Now, he can have some pretty decent PvP, but if you go back to Fight Club, when they did play each other, Bonnet was just overwhelmingly dominant against DeWalt. So DeWalt has a lot to brush up on and polish if he wants to be able to win this game against Rainbow. Rainbow, a solid Protoss player. Look at that. Is that pylon just a... No, it's just an in-base pylon that he has built here. Just remember, I have sometimes a color issue, but it would be very interesting if he accidentally mannered his own base. So Zealot is built out here, can chase the probe away, going to prevent that probe from getting inside and scouting around. So very nice. One of those things that you can do is build a Zealot just for that pure, simple defense at the ramp to prevent the probe from getting inside. Nothing unusual here, as we do see that the core range is being researched now, and core range is not being researched by DeWalt, who's been able to prevent the scout. So even though... Oh, is he going to keep going for it? Now we do see that range is coming just slightly later. So maybe Rainbow is just pushing things that much further, just a little bit crisper on his PvP builds and getting that range right away. But the Dragoon out now is going to definitely chase that probe away. Meanwhile, two Zealots were built by DeWalt before he did get his Dragoon. So a little bit of a sink in the minerals, which may be the reason for the delay of that range. Here comes the chase. Is the probe going to be able to make it home? These probes looking like they're just going to wave to each other, send a little bit of a psionic hello, and then head on their way. But DeWalt, he is being aggressive here. Ooh, I did the, and if you guys don't know, if you right-click on a unit, it will follow that unit around. Very, very confusing the first time if you right-click on a unit and you did not know about that functionality, because you cannot move off the screen no matter how hard you try. Which to me just cracks me up completely. We could always lock in on a single probe and then follow that adventure across the map. I feel like I'm watching Roller Coaster Tycoon when I watch something like that. Do you guys remember playing that old school game for who made Roller Coaster Tycoon? Hyper something. And that it was just so fun to watch those people inside the queue. And of course, sometimes they get lost, they throw up on your lawn. You had to have a lot of handymen around to clean up the throw up, especially in my theme parks. I made everybody sick. But we can see that a second gateway is dropping down, a third gateway up at the north here too. So 3 gateways early on, and Rainbow has opted to go for the robotics facility and support bait. So it's going to be Reaver Tech versus Dragoon Tech. The expansion on the way, the faster Nexus coming down here. The Nexus just slightly behind here, but Rainbow will have that Nexus too. So I have my mixed feelings about going for a third gateway over going for the Reaver Tech. And, you know, the investment of the Reaver Tech, it does take a lot of gas. You want to make your Reavers very effective, and if you do not if you don't do well with your Reavers, then you can set yourself significantly behind versus a player who does 3 gate into High Templar tech. You have that reserve gas. You have a lot more Dragoons earlier on. So it's basically a game by numbers instead of a game by power. And Rainbow is going to be representing the power type units in this situation. So the robotics facility is going to be spitting out that Reaver first. But when you do 2-gate Robo, it allows you to get the Observer, and you're very, very safe against the potential DT builds. So that's something where I'm totally okay if you're going to go for 2-gate Robo over 3-gate. But 4-gate off 2 base is just going to be a completely different setup here. The extra amount of Dragoons can be very, very overwhelming. And if Rainbow doesn't scout and see exactly how many gateways there are, he's going to be caught off guard and not have enough units to defend, even with Reavers. So this Observer is going to make it inside this base. He's going to also see that there is no heavy tech, that it's going to be just pure Dragoon. And I think that DeWalt might be able to do some heavy damage early on. This probe, is it looking to really expand over here? A really fast third expansion is unheard of in this matchup. You really don't take it unless you think that you're absolutely secure, or you're just that much better at microing against your opponent. DeWalt here actually took a lot of heavy hits on this first Dragoon. He sees that the Reaver throws out a Scarab and does not want to take those additional hits. So instead he's just going to be controlling the outside of the bridge. Looking up here, is he going to scout it? Yes, he is. He's going to scout up here. The pylon getting canceled right away, so there is no expansion heading over towards that base. Looking back at home, we can see the gas being added in. Heavy mining from that mineral, from the minerals already. And gas, which is really important here to get another Reaver out. And then the follow-up is a shuttle. I wonder if shuttle speed. Yes, shuttle speed is being researched here too. Look at this. A taunting little Observer just sitting on top of it. Doesn't DeWalt wish he had his own Observer to be able to kill off this one? I think maybe he followed it at first just to guarantee that it's not a DT and it is Observer, but there's a distinct motion that you see from Observers than you do from DTs when you watch their invisible bodies move across the screen. So this army supply is quite huge for DeWalt, but he may be playing at third base himself. The nice contain here helped him out a ton. If you look, there's a pylon here, or I'm sorry, a probe scouting out this additional third base for Rainbow. And I think that as long as DeWalt has his eyes on this base, he knows that he could take this third. He's going to have the higher numbers, and he's going to have a huge economic advantage if he could take the third base. Look at the gateway count being so low also for Rainbow. Rainbow's just pushing this Reaver tech. He's got another Reaver that's coming out. And yes, that's a lot of Reavers, but Dragoons can just chip away at that very, very quickly. Meanwhile, the Citadel of Adun is on the way. High Templar Tech is going to be following up next. And this 4-gate is still just proving to be really, really nice for DeWalt. So let's see. No, he's not stacking up to get the additional Nexus quite yet. But he does. Did he just get that Observer? Where's his own? There's got to be an Observer that's floating around here somewhere at some point. Did he get... Yeah, no observatory was done. We did see that earlier. And another Observer being added in too at this point. So this probe is actually just going to go ahead and scout out to make sure that Rainbow has not been bold enough to take an additional base. And maybe Rainbow is just saying he's going to try and win off these 2 bases since he has opted not to take a third. A few of these units getting hit right away. As DeWalt, he wants to take this foreign team all the way to the 5th match if he can. So it's going to be very, very integral that Team Fat takes a win early on. We can see that the 2 Reavers sitting behind here, they do not have the shuttle available with it. Is there a shuttle floating around on the map? I don't see one. There's no damage that has incurred over at these bases. The shuttle now is done. So shuttle with speed can pick up these 2 Reavers if he wants to bust out. The Dragoon's pushing over here. Remember there was a probe earlier at this location, but it dropped down the pylon and then went to scout over towards the left side instead. These Dragoons getting picked off pretty quickly. This is bad for Rainbow. And look at this, the EPM is actually pretty on par between both these players. So while Rainbow was a pretty good player in his past, we're seeing that for an all-star team, DeWalt is able to keep up with him at the same pace. Just 1 Reaver floating inside of here. Did he see it though? That's a lot of DTs that are coming out. A lot. But you know what? There's an Observer here. Did the Observer miss it? DeWalt, he needs to move towards the south if he wants to anticipate those DTs. Meanwhile, the Reaver is going to be coming in here. The probes are going to need to get pulled right away. This is really tough to determine where you want to pull your probes. The Scarab comes out. It's going to make it down the ramp. It's almost there to get the damage, but it does out. Very, very critical. Is the Reaver inside of here? Yes, the Reaver's still inside, but it looks like it's going to go down regardless. DT makes it inside of this base over at the left side, though. It could kill off this unit if it wants to, but it's just going to camp there on hold without doing anything. 2 DTs roaming inside the middle of the base. This DT doesn't choose to do anything. Cannons are warping in. Cannons are warping in, and he's got an observer. His observer is going to see this DT. It's going to go down. Another DT heads over towards the red side. It will not get anything except for the sped up Zealot. So Zealot speed, you can see that leg enhancements has completed, and these DTs do absolutely nothing. The advantage is huge for DeWalt at this time. So while DeWalt hasn't had to win with incredible micro, he's won with incredible awareness so far in this game. It's possible that we could see a 1-1 tied series because these DTs were investment that got no return. The Forge added on here to get the double Forge upgrades. Really, DeWalt wants to try and get his upgrades far above his opponent. +1 already finished for Rainbow. I wonder if he has another Forge spinning inside of his base. Yes, and you can see that +2 is going to be on the way. Having that +2 advantage will help him out. This is a lot of High Templar behind here, but so few units again. As you can see, now that he has 7 gateways available to him, the unit count can start to catch up. But 7 gateways exist for DeWalt also. DeWalt, he's just got to really push his macro and mechanical ability to the limit right now. The army pushes out for Rainbow, who knows that he needed to take a third, but since he didn't, he's going to rely on heavy tech for his ability to win this game. All his units are strung out across the map. They're thinned in a line. This Congo line is not going to be good for him, as he's not going to have good engagements against the concave of DeWalt's army. DeWalt is fighting in mass, and that is something that Rainbow is not doing. But that's okay. He's got High Templar, and mass actually helps him. As the Dragoons clump up, there's lots of damage being taken. DeWalt's just taking this head on. Instead of moving his units like you would move Hydras to the storm, he's just going to tank them all. And he's going to continue to push on because the Dragoons have so many numbers and so much health. The storms didn't take them down. Rainbow's on the retreat one more time. Bonnet is DeWalt in a really good position to win this game again. Look at this. Look at this, guys. The Zealots, Archon, High Templar, just small skirmish units over towards the middle. An expansion coming up for Rainbow. Finally, he's going to be able to take that third base. Remember, though, the micro and the macro is going to be heavily in DeWalt's favor. More cannons being added to this third base. No risk of DTs of fourth base being added on too. Is it really possible that DeWalt could take a fourth base? He's going to need to send some Zealots over to try and deny this Nexus coming up at the third too. If he can eliminate this third base of Rainbow, then it's an economical GG. Looking at the mineral crisis inside of the main base here, Rainbow has nothing to help him out. This is just not a strong enough army. One more time, unless all the High Templar with this army hit every storm perfectly, then it is just going to be an easy A-move Protoss win for DeWalt. This third base has to be stopped though. One single Zealot does run in here, starts doing an attack, does get a cancel on the cannon too before the Zealots do move in and kill it off. Rainbow needs to turtle up as much as he can, but unfortunately he does not have tanks. He does not play as a Terran player. He has to live with the Protoss race, which does not tank as well. It does not turtle as well. But DeWalt, he's got that fourth base now, so it doesn't matter. He's actually got a better mineral situation here too, because he has not been mining these mineral patches as hardcore. Since he transferred probes earlier on, and he's not mining with as many probes, it's going to allow his mineral distribution to last a lot longer. This group of Zealots really need to move out first across this army and just try and maybe, they're going to face off against the Zealots first, but if there's a High Templar out at the front, then you try and take the High Templar out if you can. Wow, tons of storms coming down. The Dragoons continue to move into the storms. Rainbow is on the retreat though. He's going to be pushed up against a bridge, and that is a bad situation. My God, DeWalt's storms are phenomenal at this point, as it's just completely melted Rainbow's army. I'm anticipating a GG coming soon here from Rainbow, because he may not be able to deal with the re-macro that comes out from DeWalt. So right now, it looks like the armies have traded pretty efficiently, and DeWalt does not have a full army to push in. Doesn't matter. The fact that there are 4 bases for DeWalt, he's got so much better economy. The bank is better here too. You can see that, yeah, 400 versus a 1200, just a ton. You can make 12 zealots right now if you're DeWalt, and all those zealots, you can see actually that's what he's going for. He just took out a string of zealots from that base, and the rest of it's going into the heavy gas units of these High Templar. 50, 150 as they move across the map. So important that he lands these storms. Getting up there in energy, not quite there yet. Gonna have to hold off another 25 seconds if he wants to get that storm in. Meanwhile, there's a DT here that actually did some nice damage. Caused the probes to get pulled, forces another cannon on that mineral line. Meanwhile, DeWalt is still back at home, macroing up and adding an additional base at the top left that Rainbow is not anticipating. Rainbow does not have vision everywhere on the map, and he's so focused on dealing with his opponent that he's of course not going to be able to scout out and see what his opponent is going for. That expansion will definitely pay off for DeWalt. But right now, you can see how many more units are coming in. Oh, there's a Dark Templar that's getting picked on by this Zealot. Finally, it does turn around to join into the fight. Storm's coming down on the low ground, and then another Archon morphs. But I think that's going to be it for Rainbow, because he doesn't have enough units to defend this third base. In just a moment, DeWalt will be able to bring all of units up. Yeah, and Rainbow types GG. That's it. DeWalt wins game number 2. And we're going to be going into set 3 with a tied series of Fat versus Ajae. I am BisuDagger. Guys, hang out as game number 3 will start very shortly. We reached another commercial break, which means it's time for you money grubbers to go ahead and start dishing it instead of just taking it. I've given you so much content, it's time for you guys to get up and out of your chairs. No, wait, stay in your chairs. Type on that keyboard, Matcherino.com. I want you to enter Fat Brood War, which is a free coupon code to donate $1 towards this tournament. And if you're feeling oh so generous, like you love StarCraft, you should go ahead and donate a little bit more money to this event. Just a few more dollars out of everybody's pocket will allow us to reach that goal. Thank you so much for showing your support. I am BisuDagger. I love all of you guys out there, so show your love in return. I can't wait to see you for the next game. Take care, and I hope you are truly, truly enjoying this event. Alright guys, game number 3 is going to be underway here. I am BisuDagger, and oh, let me put back on my Dapper Day hat. Alright, guys, Eon Zerg versus Zeus. The stakes are real. This is tied 1-1 in this series of Fat versus Ajae. And who's going to be able to come out on top? Spotting it down at the bottom right-hand corner, we will have our Zerg player, Eon Zerg. And then down at the bottom left, we will have our Protoss player, Zeus. Yes, absolutely, this is going to be an incredible series between these two players. Zeus has a chip on his shoulder. He needs to get some revenge. He is 0-2 against Bonnet and 0-2 against Foreign altogether. Meanwhile, let's give a shout out to DeWalt again for taking his first win against the Korean League, the Team Ajae League. And you know what? Last week, DeWalt was saying that he was having a lot of trouble. He had to play without VPN. There was lag issues, and eventually it was basically a forfeit of the game from last week. And I'm sure that he wanted to really take Firebat Hero out on match point. But since he didn't, he got the revenge match against Rainbow. That worked out great for him. And now we've got Zeus, who's actually sending his probe out towards the middle. And it maybe is going to be a long scout towards the upper right side, which is not going to favor him. Meanwhile, Zerg, what is going to be the opening here? Remember, Eon Zerg was so aggressive last week. I believe it was against Rainbow that Eon Zerg played. And he went for the 9-pull speed early on, which helped him to get his Zerglings into the opponent's base very, very quickly. Constant Zergling aggression. And the Forge Cannon defense was not strong enough for his Zergling micro. And of course, he wrapped it all up beautifully with a Hydralisk attack. I did not cast those games. That was Esports John who was casting those, so I'm trying to recall it as best I can. If it was not a 9-pull speed opening, then I do apologize. But we can see that the overpull build is sitting here. just wonderfully. As we can see, the spawning pool is going to be finishing up just very shortly, and then it looks like a hatchery to expand at the natural base. The probe is going to get up here and instead go for the scout instead of trying to deny the additional hatchery, so he gets the quick scout, but now he needs to make sure 100% that a hatchery does land at the natural base. So at this point, it's just down to the Protoss skill to keep that probe scouting out and alive. Meanwhile, Zeus is going to be going for that Forge expand. He's got the Forge sitting at the natural base. The Nexus warping in, back at home. He's got nothing up here. Not even a pylon. Just, he's going to drop down that first cannon because he does see that the spawning pool is done, that the Zerglings are out, and wants to make sure that he is safe. One cannon should be enough, though. I don't anticipating him putting down another cannon before he gets to gateway, which you can see the gateway adding in right now. Sitting at 15 supply, just trying to macro up those probes if he can. The extractor coming in for Eon Zerg, as he knows that gas and speed is so precious early on. Is he going to go for speed on his lings though, or is he going to just try and tech up very, very quickly for just foregoing that ling speed upgrade? This probe is going to stay alive for a little while as long as Zeus can focus on the micro. Remember, you only have one ling that focuses on the probe while the other three just try and cut its route off to be able to prevent any additional scouting. So 3 drones automatically on this extractor. It looks like a fourth. It looks like a fourth drone accidentally brought on here, or just like caught. Did you see that? You gotta love the AI of units and just their glitchiness in StarCraft 1. Excuse me for my cough, but let's look up here at the top right. It's going to be expansion hatchery. So there's actually, you know, sometimes you can expand down here very quickly too, but it can get scouted much more easily. But a third hatchery pretty quickly. What if Eon Zerg decided to go for a 3-hatch Hydra bust? Hydra busts are becoming very, very popular for Zergs and ZVP in Korea, and I would not doubt that the trend is just spreading over to the Zerg forces. Zergs, I think, above all races, have to look towards the Koreans for help. Just watching the state of the game, the meta changes, it really helps the Zergs evolve to play against builds such as, you know, +1 5 racks. How are Korean Zergs dealing with that against perfect Terran play? Because it's going to be really important that Zerg players can evolve to defeat Terran at a better rate than they have been. Foreign Zergs are having a really tough time defeating Terrans. That being said, though, 2 Terrans were taken down by True Touch and Fight Club, so his TVZ, not too bad, but it did have to turn out cheesy, too. It's really hard, but we are in a PvZ matchup, so let's go ahead and give that our focus. So we can see speed was taken, but we still have, nope, just 2 drones on here now, and now he finally has in that third to get the max gas back up again. But Lair, Spire, going to be the follow-up here. And I do not see a Hydraless Den, so this is all looking very normal. Either a 5 or 6 hatch Hydra style play from our Zerg player. And meanwhile, a Zealot comes in here, and you gotta keep an eye out on these Zealots because sometimes the Korean players are so good at having the Zealot count stack up, add up to the mixture, and take down drones more quickly than you can anticipate. Zealot did not scout up here towards the top right though. Zergling's controlling the front, and if a Zealot does escape, it's going to be seen by Eon Zerg. So huge transfer drones heading towards the top, and a additional hatchery being added in here also, trying to just help build off this wall. Another Evo chamber is going to be added right here, or I think the Evo chamber over the Hydraless Den at that location is going to be most important. And that will help just build this wall off of Sunkens behind it and give you a solid natural base. Meanwhile, looking over here, the Ling's still trying to poke in again to get a gauge on how many cannons are here. +1 just started up for the Protoss player. As you can see, the cannon behind it here too. And a second gateway added inside the main. +1 Corsairs going to be put on also. So an additional hatchery being added. Wow, Eon Zerg is just going base crazy, base hungry. And he's added another hatchery at this natural base too. So not only does he have 4 bases, but he has a total of 5, 6 hatcheries. And this is just a large amount of macro that will eventually come out of here. Sunken colonies being added in too, just to help thwart any of the Zealots that might escape from this base. But you know what? We're seeing that Zeus has opted to not be very aggressive here. He does send, oh, he does send a Dark Templar out. We got to keep an eye on these Dark Templar and make sure that they do not do heavy damage. Eon Zerg, where are his overlords? He doesn't have an overlord at the front. He's going to have to send the overlord very quickly or spawn one from an egg. So he has a Hydra Den here. He drops down a Creek Colony that's got to go into a Spore immediately if he wants to defend against this. Either Spore or Overlord. Oh, he's going for Sunken instead. And the DTs, they look like they're going to get inside. Does Eon Zerg notice this? Does he notice this right now as he tries to go for a block on the ramp to prevent the DTs from getting in? Oh, so many drones are going to go down. 2 drones killed off right away as the DTs make it inside. 1 makes it inside the main base. There is an Overlord here, but still the damage could be done. This single Dark Templar getting 6 kills. 6 in total. Oh, 10 kills, 16 kills. Eon Zerg is in a tough spot at 16. Well, I know a couple Lings got killed, but mostly drones. Let's say 14 drones got killed off at this point. Remember, he does have this additional base here, this additional base here. What about the Dark Templar situation? The Spire is going down now too. Wow. So, you know what? Knowing that the Spire was going to go down, Eon Zerg did not want to have to fall to Corsair threat after this, so he built as many Scourge as he could. And you're wondering, why do you continue to see Scourge popping out? Because he knew that he was eventually going to lose that Spire, so he wanted to make sure he had the proper anti-air. So now with another Creep Colony adding to the front, the Overlord's in the proper spot. He is able to kill off the Dark Templars. 14 kills on this single Dark Templar, and this is going to be the hero of the game for Zeus if he does manage to win out. That was heavy damage, and Eon Zerg, getting overzealous with his expansions, finds himself in a little bit of a predicament with all the workers that he lost. So this is a huge amount of Corsairs. Remember this. This is what I was talking about. These Corsairs are going to be a giant threat. They're going to have +1 available to them, and they can start mowing down Overlords very quickly. What Effort recommends here in this situation is to get lots of speed Hydralisks at each of your bases to deal with Corsairs. That he believes that it is more effective for players to go for speed Hydras over Scourge. But if you have the money in the economy and you need to kill off the Corsairs very quickly, then having Scourge is going to be super useful. I like having this Spore Colony here, not only for detection, but it will actually help the added damage against these Corsairs. The Scourge are on the way. Here comes the air fleet. Does Zeus see how many Scourge there are? Will he be able to deal with them? In fact, this one Archon can do a lot of damage on the Scourge if they're not microed very effectively. So many Zealots coming up in here, but these 3 Sunkens are really hard to get to. Look how hard it is to get to them because the drone was blocking. The drones blocked that area, but eventually this will all go down, and Archon is killing off all the drones. Wow. But Eon Zerg, he's still just hanging in here at this point, even though there is just a swarm of Zealots. Let's keep an eye on everything. Another base is going to be coming up. The Corsairs heading down towards the bottom right. I think that this base does have to be given up, though. I'm not sure that Eon Zerg can win this game. Look at this. He manages to kill off that single Mutalisk. All the Overlords are going down inside of the main base, all because the Spire went down. This is the woes and troubles that Eon Zerg is going to have to deal with. He is completely supply blocked now. Way behind on supply. He can't stop the onslaught of Zealots that are coming in here. And this game looks like it's going to go in Zeus's favor. It is just too close. The game is going to be over in just a minute here. I don't believe that Eon Zerg can hang on, and that's it. GG. Oh, wow. I did not anticipate that. Zeus came out with a vengeance, played his heart out, and he brings the score up to 2-1. So I'm going to have to fix this overlay, get things prepared. Guys, hang out for game number 4. I am BisuDagger, and I am so... Alright, listen up, you StarCraft fans out there. Just because this is a commercial break is not an excuse for you to do nothing. Right now, I need you guys to get on Matcherino.com, which is the sponsor for this event. Yes, for Team Fat versus Team Ajae, it is really important for you guys to use that coupon code at the bottom, FATBW for Fat Brood War. If you enter that coupon code, you will donate $1 free. All it costs is just a few minutes of your time. You can use your Twitch account. You do not need to create your own account to sign in. So please do that. Also, if you want to, check out that wallet that you've got next to you. Look inside and say, hey, I could donate an extra $1 myself too. If all of you wonderful people out there donated the free $1 plus $1 on your own, we would be able to reach the goal of this event. We need to reach $800 so we can support those winners and losers. Last week, Team Fat won. Don't we want to make their wallets fat too? This is exactly what we should do. So now that you have had the time and the opportunity in this commercial break, really important for you to contribute as much as everybody else has. Thank you so much again for watching this event, and I will see you on the flip side. Now we reach game number 4, guys. With this countdown, we're going to have True Touch versus Go Rush. The series is 2-1. Foreign team looking to take a second win and take this to the ace match, where we would have unannounced ace players to play in the final match. Is it going to get there, though? As we are spawning on match point, let's go ahead and identify the positions. Up at the top right, it is going to be minus True Touch, the Foreign Hope. He is going to have to take this win. True Touch, the best ZVZer, which is why the foreign team voted to have him play against Go Rush. Meanwhile, Go Rush is going to be spawning down at the bottom left. Alright, now I've got the colors situated for you, so that way it's a little bit easier for you to see that the top left aligns with the bottom left color. Match point over Benzene all day, every day. It's my favorite of the two maps, even though they are kind of brother and sister. It's like handsome brother, ugly sister type scenario. You all know how that works. You all have ugly sisters, don't you? Overlord's coming out and going to be doing their passerby eventually as they head towards their opponent's base. The question of whether to go to high latency, or is True Touch asking if Go Rush is high? No, he did not smoke the bong. He is not Zergbong, in fact, who was a 2v2 player for KT Rollstar back in the day. Back when it was KT Finger Boom, I believe. I believe it was KT Finger Boom at the time, but it could have been even previous to that, eventually settling on KTF Magicians. Sickness. Okay, so let's look at what both players are going for here. True Touch popping out that Overlord still. He is looking like he's going to gather enough minerals to go for an expansion and take that hatchery. Meanwhile, let's go look over here. We see the spawning poles going down first for Go Rush. This is tough. This is going to be a speed first build, possibly for Go Rush. And if he gets the spawning pole Zerglings out across the map, remember it's a far distance by ground, but still you can take advantage of closing that distance by opening up with an early Zerg speed build. And so True Touch is going to have a massive defense. I've seen it before. He can defend well behind this. The spawning pole has to drop immediately, and then he's going to have really good micro. If Go Rush does not do well with this build, though, as you can see, 6 Zerglings coming out of here, it's definitely going to be speed, and speed added in. And of course, so Go Rush, he has to be successful. If he does not kill off this hatchery, he's got to kill off a lot of drones in the process, and True Touch has got to be on top of it. This Overlord is so slow, is it going to be even able to get there in time to see the Lings? This is the ramp. This is the key ramp. So the Lings are going to come out, and he's going to know right away what he's going to have to defend with, which is why the Overlords don't go in a direct diagonal pattern. They actually go towards the ramp direction, so that way they can see if units are going to start popping out. Now he's got himself prepared, but how is he going to be able to defend against this? The hatchery almost done. The spawning pool almost done. But the Lings are just going to be coming so late. And I wonder if he's going to just set off the speed right away or go straight into Lair once he gets 100. And we can see that he's just going to go right directly into speed. So the hatchery is going to get pretty low in health, almost down to half health. Does he pull the drones now to go for the drone drill? Yes, he does. So hoping to defend and keep this hatchery alive, True Touch is going to have to do this, otherwise he finds himself at a pretty bad advantage. The drone drill loses 2 drones so far, but he does manage to pull a few Lings off and a few more stream down from the bottom. If he only loses 2 drones here, then this is a mass defense and a great job by True Touch to hold on to his expansion, and the lead could go into his favor. Remember, much easier to live if you can keep this hatchery alive. Oh, it's getting so low. It's getting so low. Just 7 more hits. The Lings hug it. The drones hug it. And he has to make sure that the Lings don't get in here to kill it off. Just a few more hits. These Lings almost need to ignore the rest of the Lings and get this hatchery. Is he going to be able to do it? Oh, you can see that it is not going to be enough. The defense is there. Nothing. Nothing left in either base as he manages to keep this alive. 115 health, and this may have just been enough to help True Touch win the game. True Touch right now, he could just go directly into a counterattack with a ton of links. I don't think that Go Rush is going to be able to defend against this. He's going to have to evolve into a Sunken Colony. So the Sunken Colony gets dropped right now. He does have Lair, Spire on the way. If he can defend until the mutas get out, then he can start to equalize this game. A single link has come in here to run around at the top, just cause a little bit of an annoyance. Meanwhile, Evo Chamber drops down for the just precautionary defense against the mutas if that does happen. Spire getting past that halfway marker as it does continue. All the links from True Touch are just going to dive in here, trying to look for a hopeful advantage to engage. Can he pick off some drones? True Touch does this most viciously in ZVZs more than anyone else. What he'll do is he'll just dive his units in to kill off drones because he says, whatever, I don't care. I've got more at home. I can build the economy. This is fine. Back at home, we can see, though, that Creek colonies are being added in to deal with the mutas. As the spores drop down, this is just going to be a nice defense. Remember, he's still sitting on 2 bases. 3 mutas are going to be added in. As the Spire does complete, Go Rush is going to have the advantage by air. True Touch, the defense by ground. All right, so we're looking at this. Still no gas being mined. Still no gas. Are we going to see the infamous Hive Tech type ZVZ style game? Can Go Rush close this out with his mutas? He definitely can't kill off the natural base. What he can do, I didn't mean the hatchery. That is not what I was going for. He could definitely kill that off, and he did. What I mean is he can't use his mutas to shut down this base. But it doesn't matter because the hatchery gets killed off anyway. My train of thought distracted me from focusing on the fact that this does get killed off. So low on health. Now an Overlord's going to get picked off too. True Touch isn't going to have enough right now to counterattack, go in here and do damage. There's not a lot of links. The mutas are going to have to come back home to help defend against this. I think that True Touch might be able to kill off this Sunken Colony. He's going to have to either target that or go directly for the drones. And he's going to go for the drones instead. And the drones are getting killed off. Remember, this is just savage. This is just terrible, terrible tribal tactics where he goes for the kill of the people instead of the buildings. And I absolutely love it. There's a link that managed to get inside of this base. Just a menacing link trying to get a scout out. Still no hatchery built at the natural base. Several mutas starting to head their way across to the opposite side of the map. There's not many drones though. There's such a huge reset, and so it's got to be all drones for Go Rush as he tries to get his economy back up, and he drops another hatchery at the natural base too. Hatchery getting added up here. It's got the defense of the spore colonies, and he knows that Zerglings aren't going to be a threat. So right now it's just to defend against these spores. And what Go Rush wants to do is just pick off drones, do quick drive-bys, and then float the mutas away. 2 spores hitting on top of that 1 muta, getting it really low to health. Look at that. You can see that he even splits that one away. So you get 15 damage. So he actually needed 2 more hits on that muta to kill off. Just a little fun fact there if you weren't aware of what the spore colony damage does. So the mutas spread out. They're going Overlord hunting. And as they Overlord hunt, they're going to see that all the Overlords have actually been killed off. And True Touch is going to have to keep the rest of his Overlords at home, looking at a total of 16 supply to 24 supply. So supply in the favor of Go Rush, the air supply in favor of Go Rush, and True Touch is really looking for this Hive-style game. Lair is on the way. He's only just getting Lair now. He only has a 200 gas, so gas is going to be hurting him too. And really, we're going to need to see True Touch just heavily mine up. Can he get his economy going in order to win this game? I thought this was going to be in True Touch's favor, but as soon as he lost that hatchery, the tables had turned. Go Rush had put himself in a good position to win this game. This is unnecessary risk. In my opinion, that I would have at least detached this muta and brought it home, brought it away. Because you don't want to lose those mutas when they're really low on health and you've got this huge air advantage. Just know that every, what is it, like 2.5 to 3 seconds, you get another HP on this muta. So you can get your health back, just play patient waiting game, and now all of a sudden your soft injured mutas are healthy again and rejuvenated so they can go into battle with superior forces and health against True Touch. True Touch back at home. He's dropped down a Spire now. Spire still very necessary despite the fact that he is going to be defending by the ground. Where's the Queen's Nest though? That's what we're all anticipating. Where is that Queen's Nest and when will it come in? Another Zergling getting picked off by these Mutalisks. The excitement of the early game has faded away, and now we're going to have to see how Go Rush will respond. He's dropping down another hatchery. He's got no defenses by air. He's anticipating that his mutas will be able to defend his main and natural locations, so not going to be a big deal for him. True Touch, though, he's looking to make sure no expansions have been snuck in. As he sends his lings out across the map, we're going to see the same thing for Go Rush as he sends his lings down towards the bottom right. How do you get ahead as Go Rush? You start getting upgrades. Let's check that Spire. Yes, he's going to go for that +1 carapace. And that's going to be really nice for him. Because +1 carapace plus the superior numbers of his Mutalisks, this is just a bad situation for True Touch. True Touch may need to just jump to that Hive Tech. Let's pray for it. Cross those fingers, everybody. Sprinkle some salt. Whatever it takes to give you luck. Anybody been watching Supernatural lately? My wife is watching it right now, and all I can think about is how they sprinkle salt circles around themselves to keep them safe. In fact, I would just I would take an inner tube and wear it around my body, and then tape a line of salt around it. So if any demon tries to come at me, I would just immediately stand within the bounds of my inner tube, and then just kind of wobble around safely because I've got the salt. Funny how that works. Oh, somehow I brought my stats up here. Of course, I don't play with this account on this server, definitely, because this is what is it? Battle.net East. Fish server was down, by the way, when I started to cast this. So, or at least it wouldn't let me connect. I do have an alternate account though. If you guys did not know, my alternate account is where I actually play games. I try and sneak some around every once in a while to remain competitive. And my name is akin to a rodent. Just so you know. It is akin to a rodent, and it has been my Smurf for a really long time. No one has known. In fact, this is the most I've revealed about my alternate account ever to anybody else. But I don't play my BisuDagger account because, oh, you don't want to see the win rate that I have. I don't want you to get any preconceived notions that I'm good or bad. Yeah. Keep it dapper. So let's look back at this again. Checking inside the main base, the natural base. Everything looking good for True Touch. He's just by ground. A lot of Zerglings there for Go Rush. He's by air. He's got a lot of mutas also. Oh, a nice quick Overlord kill by these Mutalisks. So the Zerglings doing their job scouting out, but now these mutas are trying to hunt them down. Zerg knows that his position has been given away, so he hit his mutas up at the top left, and Go Rush is trying to cut them off, knowing that they're going to try and head home. He heads over towards the north, but he does not see them, and assumes that they have safely made it back to the base. Meanwhile, Zerg is going to keep them all towards the left. Let's look here. Yep. The carapace upgrade is going to be on the way. I wonder if the attack upgrade, yep, +1 attack is going to be on the way for the mutas of Go Rush. Go Rush is all his mutas are out there on the map. Oh my god, no they aren't. Half of them still sitting on top of this natural base. Zerg pokes in and says, holy moly, that's a lot, and is going to have to retreat one more time. A Zergling still in here. Go Rush has been just naughty with his Zerglings, just completely streaming them in. Oh my god! So he knows that half the mutas are left out. He's going to be able to catch this flock and actually be able to soften them up too. A lot of hits are going to happen here. Go Rush is going to bring all of his mutas from the natural base to try and bring this horde. Wow. This is like watching West Side Story snap and sing as the mutas do head towards the main base of True Touch. And True Touch has these spores to defend with at the ground. He's going to remove all of his drones immediately because he does not want them to get killed off. The Spire could get focused down before the upgrade is finished. Is he going to be able to get that Spire? Meanwhile, all the mutas are heading down here. They're going to dive on top of the drones. There's no spore colonies to defend, and a lot of the drones are going to get taken out. Zerg, going with this awesome counterattack, knows that he also has the spores to defend at his natural base. He's losing his main base quickly though. He loses the Spire, and he's actually going to end up losing his lair at the same time. Meanwhile, mutas are still killing off tons of drones. Can True Touch do it? He's got to just kill off all the workers, which he may have done. How many workers remain? Okay, let's keep an eye on these mutas. The mutas are just zigzagging their way away from this, but Go Rush only has 3 workers remaining. This is incredible. He's just going to cause an economic GG. Meanwhile, look at what's defending here. Several spore colonies sitting at this natural base. And even if these mutas do come in here, Oh. 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 GG from True Touch. So True Touch calls it in anyway. And unfortunately, that's going to be it. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. Wow. What a game that we saw here. How many mutas are still remaining in this flock? But I think that they could just pretty much overwhelm everything here. You see how many drones are left, but the drones were killed off pretty quickly. And there's just not enough spores. I just don't think there are enough spores. What a game. Imagine if he managed to at least get all the drones. So that's going to be a 3-1. Very curious here. I'll be right back, guys, before I do my conclusion. So hang tight and stay still. We reached another commercial break, which means it's time for you money grubbers to go ahead and start dishing it instead of just taking it. I've given you so much content, it's time for you guys to get up and out of your chairs. No, wait, stay in your chairs. Type on that keyboard, Matcherino.com. I want you to enter Fat Brood War, which is a free coupon code to donate $1 towards this tournament. And if you're feeling oh so generous, like you love StarCraft, you should go ahead and donate a little bit more money to this event. Just a few more dollars out of everybody's pocket will allow us to reach that goal. Thank you so much for showing your support. I am BisuDagger. I love all of you guys out there, so show your love in return. I can't wait to see you for the next game. Take care, and I hope you are truly, truly enjoying this event. Alright, surprise, surprise, guys. We are back for a final game of game number 5. That's right, even though there is no ace match for today, the Team Ajae has won. Big hands for them. Congratulations, Team Ajae, for taking that win. But Team Fat, they are going to send out one more guy, DeWalt versus Go Rush in this final matchup. That's right, this has been an ace match because Team Ajae was just having so much fun. They thought, hey, let's give these foreign guys one more game and see if they can at least bring the series to a closer final record. So game number 5 is going to be on Fighting Spirit as we watch these two players. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal PvZ. I can already sense it. Spinning up the top right-hand corner is going to be DeWalt as our Protoss player. And then down at the bottom right, it is going to be Go Rush. Yeah, so Team Ajae ties up the series. So after 2 weeks being completed here, it is going to be 1-1. And really, really nice games today by all the players. But I think that Team Ajae just really took this very, very seriously. Not that they didn't take last week's series, but they knew that they now know that the foreign all-star team is out to win. And that they're going to have to focus, practice, and buckle down so that way they can represent their country against the rest of the world. And it's so important that these Team Ajae players can hold themselves in high esteem and look as wonderful as they can online. All those fish viewers, very, very critical of them. In fact, the Korean community, netizens, can actually be quite harsh and say some terrible things towards Koreans. But we, as the foreign community, we need to join together and remember to always say very nice things about each other, compliment each other, be helpful, and remember when things get heated in a thread, and just take the time to reply to someone's post with a compliment, or just tell them you love them. It's easy enough. Don't always get heated in a discussion. Someone recently tried to get at me in an LR thread. And I don't comment in LR threads because I'm usually casting leagues. And I was so happy to be in the LR thread and communicate. And then I got called out for just liking Bisu instead of actually, you know, just... I called something correct, but I was still called out regardless. And instead of getting angry, I replied a couple posts and then eventually I said, you know what, it's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion. Let's be nice, let's be civil. No need to make enemies in the foreign scene. Guys, it's really important that we hold and join together and make ourselves as strong as possible. So that's enough of a spiritual moment here. We're in game number 5, and right now we are going to have a spiritual moment from DeWalt, who needs to have a big game. Can he win 2 games today? He won the earlier game, which is why the foreign team decided to send him out, because he just was on a roll. He played such a solid game against Rainbow in his PvP earlier. Incredible macro game, really, and lots and lots of Dragoons were built in that matchup. The Storms at the end too, the Storms were crazy. That was a nice PvP by him. I was pretty surprised too. Not sending Bonnet out in the PvP was what I thought would be considered a big risk, but you know, these guys come together, they determine the matchups and try to prepare themselves best so that way they can win in this best of 5 series. Lots of links coming out. And the spawning pool, it was before the hatchery, but it's not going to be like a speed. There's no extractor, but there are a decent amount of Zerglings. So in response to this, the gateway comes down, the cannon is just about to finish up, and they're going to be probes to be able to clog the hole here. So the Zerglings aren't going to get in, despite the fact that they did come out pretty early. Go Rush not able to complete his attempt. So the Zerglings get pulled back. Running in 6 in numbers right now. Another hatchery getting dropped down. A pretty easy map to take 3 hatcheries on, very close together too, which is why this is a pretty decent PvZ map for Zerg players. But you can see now the extractor is dropped down. It's going to be important to get that gas and work towards the Spire tech as usual, because, you know, Zergs love that Spire. I wonder what the advantages are. I know that you use the Spire to get Scourge, to try and pick off Corsairs. But how much more aggressive can your timings be if you skip Spire and just go directly for Hydra upgrades? You can even skip Lair early on too. People just continue to call those Hydra rushes in that regard. But really, you don't necessarily need to go towards Lair if you're going to defend with your Hydras at your bases instead of going with Scourge. But enough theory crafting here. We see the Zerglings coming down here to just kind of circumvent that probe if the probe can't get over. DeWalt trying to do the best he can as the foreign player to get his scout off, confirm where the additional hatcheries are. He's going to get chased down to the bottom left and not see anything, unfortunately. But a Zealot does come out. And this Zealot, it can walk pretty far with just one Zergling gnawing at the bit. A few more probes just being added in here. DeWalt's got lower EPM than I would say most of the players here. Not that he's any worse mechanically than the other players, but he does operate at a slightly lower EPM than I believe the rest of the foreign players. He's a very smart Protoss player though. Hailing from Russia, just all the great strategists come from Russia. If you didn't know, that's a lot of very smart and intelligent StarCraft players from that region. Now we can see that the probe is able to scout over towards the left side and get over to the natural here too. And is it going to get up on the rim? Gets denied just perfectly by this drone. And the Zerglings plus that drone block it in there. Some nice play. A Dragoon comes out early for DeWalt. You usually don't see this Dragoon out early, but the fact that it is out here allows this Overlord to get picked off, and that's huge. Look at that, a supply box sitting at 3027. Meanwhile, 3 more gateways added in. So this is going to be some very nice aggressive play early on. Potentially, it could be one of those Zealot, Dragoon, Archon type mixtures. You skip High Templar in that regard. Get speed pretty quickly for your Zealots because you really just need Zealot speed early on no matter what. But the whole deal is that he's skipping Corsair. And since he's skipping Corsair, he's going to be able to get units out a lot quicker. I think the Dragoon might be a giveaway about skipping Corsair. But here's the funny thing. This is what I was talking about here, is that Spire is going to be skipped because Go Rush has figured out what DeWalt is going for, but still he's going to put the Hydra Den down, and he's going to need the Hydralisk upgrades because they're going to be so important early on in combating this. Alright, so the Hydras are in a pretty good spot. Because there's not a cannon here warped in, the Hydras don't have to worry about getting hit, and this Forge is going to get super low. DeWalt's going to need maybe 2-3 more cannons added in, so he's going to add 2 more, but I think possibly if he could spare a 3rd cannon, nope, the Forge gets taken out, so he's not going to be able to hit a 3rd, but he does finish off Zealot speed, and the Zealots can kill off these Hydralisks pretty handily. So the Hydras aren't going to be enough to take it out. But looking back at home, another round of Hydras, it's going to be just close to 2 control groups worth. But because of the 3 gates inside of the main, a 4th one being added in, 5 gates in total off 2 bases, this is just looking incredible. And now a Stargate being added in, just a late Corsair, I guess, to be added. And a shield battery. Oh, very interesting. Adding a shield battery in, just trying to get these zealots up to maximum shield health before they push out. And now these line of hydras are going to engage and what are going to be very, very aggressive melee units. Still sitting at +0 for these zealots. Look at this, Overlord speed is finished up, and I wonder if we're going to see bag of build style play where the Overlords will be able to do lifting also. Let's look here. Yep. So we're going to see Overlords that can lift, and just taking a play out of Shine's book, the Hydras can start to elevator into the main base, if that's what Go Rush can get to. Right now, this is a huge number of Zealots that are about to get aggressive on top of this third base, and it can get taken down pretty quickly. Only a couple drones over at this mining location right now. Meanwhile, amidst this, there's just Overlords following. Where are all the Zerg units? They are not responding over towards this base. The Zealots chase the drones instead of trying to take down the hatchery, but they can get back here. If they focus, the hatchery definitely could have gone down, and I think they should and shall. Now, lurkers have been completed. This is important too, because where is the vision? Where is the observatory for DeWalt? DeWalt does not have observers out to deal with this, and it's going to be lurker drops. Has it finished up? Where's the squishing sound that makes when the units start to gather in? Here they come, inside the Overlords, as they add 4 full Overlords, and amidst that, 2 lurkers. Okay, so even with the Zealots in the right spot, because the lurkers are coming out without Dragoons ready to use their range, if the lurkers don't get stopped, don't get thwarted, then they're going to be really, really hard to take out. The focus immediately on the photon cannons, because you want the photon cannons to eliminate, to be gone, so there's no vision. Okay, so the lurkers are safe and cozy up at the top. A lot of probes are going to go down too, and this is just madness. You see that the Corsairs just a little bit too late in chasing away these Overlords. All the Overlords have been completely emptied. There's a High Templar at the front. Really, this is just rough. If it had been one of those early Archon builds that I was talking about, then I think that would have really paid off for DeWalt, who could have just attacked a Zealot to kill off the lurkers. But that's not the case. A cannon does finish up, though. Dark Templar. Do you see all the Dark Templar that are coming out here? This is just going to be some counter harass from DeWalt. Can he pull it off? Going to try and just go crazy with his Dark Templar if he can. Oh, it looks like the Corsair getting 1 kill, but the Hydralists on the high ground are going to chase it off. And the lurkers are going to push in one more time. If the Hydras can kill off these cannons, this is going to be really nice for them. The Dark Templar, instead of going off for the offensive, are going to play defensively and try and kill off as many cannons as possible. The lurkers focus it down. The Overlord's in the correct position here. And DeWalt, again, is in a lot of trouble. As this lurker moves towards the north to cut off all these probes, the probes have to get removed again. They were clicked on the assimilator to gather over here, but now they are clicked into the adjacent assimilator, so that way they can just bail out and go towards the natural base. No mining inside the main. Meanwhile, the third has been taken out. Very important to note that there is no third base here. It's 2 base versus 2 base. Go Rush. He's not at the most ideal economy possible. He is adding another additional hatchery in at the natural base, and he can continue to do these drops. So it looks like we are going to see drops. 29 health on the Overlord with lurkers. If only there were a Corsair in range. The Corsair not seeing the Overlord in time, and the 3 Hydralists are going to really just nail that Corsair down. So 2 lurkers can be on top of the Stargate. Behind this, the 3 Hydras just really helping out too. Stargate's going to go down pretty quickly. Now, an Archon finally coming into the mixture. We can see, wow, that the lurker up here still doing a lot of damage with the 2 Hydras there too, taking out that 1 single forge. This is tough. Meanwhile, let's look over the left side. Lurker's trying to drop out. The Overlord gets down to 38 health. Are the lurkers going to get dropped out just in time? Down to 24. The Corsair does go for the chase. Looking up here, the lurker still doing a lot of damage. How many kills? 3 kills. More Hydras over towards the right side too. This is looking like BC versus Shine, our worst nightmare possible. Corsairs really are on heavy patrol right now to prevent any more units from coming in towards that natural base. The lurker drops still could occur. Hydras are going to try and bust at the front. Meanwhile, the Archons do finally go for the clear. Once again, he has to move to the top to clear out these lurkers as best he can. With the observer here, he finally can clear out these units. He does have it under control. Meanwhile, DeWalt, he is microed like crazy. He's trying to use his Corsairs to clear out these Overlords. He loses one. The control not good enough. And he does have enough to at least put his mining back at the main base. As you can see, all of the probes are starting to spread themselves out. Really, really low on minerals right now. This is a tough game for DeWalt to stay in. This is so tough, and in fact he's mined pretty heavily at his natural base too. As you can see that the mineral patches are looking more sparse at the natural than they are at the main. These Hydras could jump in here and maybe possibly take out the gateway, but what is the cost? What is the worth? Too many Hydras would die. Going by air is really the best way to go, which is why we're going to see that the Corsair and double Archons are going to try and guard at the cliffs here at the bottom. Several of the Overlords starting to stream in. The Corsair sees it first. The Archons there are ready to deal quite a bit of damage, but the Archons should actually go down pretty quickly with all the Hydras that come out. DeWalt's lost the majority of his army, and again he has to drag all the probes out. And it looks like Go Rush is trying to land his lurkers down to kill off that streamline of probes, but it's not going to be good enough. Moving out are several zealots. Looks like there's going to be a counter harassment coming for DeWalt. DeWalt, he's losing control of his gateways. In fact, what's unpowered? This is unpowered. 3 unpowered gateways. And that's just a nasty situation for him to be in. If only there wasn't this lurker here. But the zealots are going to run in and just try and focus down the drones regardless. That zealot, the lurker is just way too strong. DeWalt's lost all of his army inside the main base. He doesn't have anything inside the natural, and I don't think that he's going to be able to win this game today. We can see there is a shuttle here, but there's nothing inside the shuttle. He wasn't able to get anything done either. You can see that there are still drones mining over at the main base here. DeWalt looks like, if you didn't see the north, if you didn't see that DeWalt's base was completely ravished, you would think that he has won this game. But right now, there are so many units that are up inside this main base that should be able to bust down the natural base, that despite the fact that DeWalt is trying to play so hard in this game, isn't going to be enough. A lot of drones mining at the main. Go Rush, he still has a lot to do if he wants to win. He can't just easily close this out. In fact, let's look at this. The economy, he doesn't have the economy to build lurkers. The economy is actually really good for DeWalt, who can continue to build cannons and just completely cannon up his base and slowly creep his way out. Looks like 4 zealots are getting dropped on top of the high ground, circumventing everything. Can these zealots do the damage that they need to kill off all these drones? The units should reply very quickly. It looks like Hydras were headed towards the south. They're going to run over here and ward off all the zealots. DeWalt not getting any damage one more time. Just a single zealot here. We can see, oh, does that lurker get taken out or was that moved? One of the lurkers gets under here, sitting at 1 kill already just immediately as it does burrow over. Looking over from the top side though, we can see that this lurker's killed off the pylon over there at the cliff. With this lurker coming down, it's going to be able to attack the assimilator and everything inside of it. What a tough game that DeWalt has played out. Look at this. He's going for an expansion. He's really going for it here. So is Go Rush going to be able to win in time, or will this extra Nexus be enough for him to to survive? A Reaver here too. Look at this, a single Reaver. DeWalt has got to play the game of his life if he wants to continue to win this game though. 1,100 minerals, 1,100 gas. He's slowly creeping out with 2 more gateways being added. If these probes get seen by any single unit, if they get seen out on the map, this is so critical. The Hydras see the probes. The Hydras know. The Go Rush should have seen those probes unless he wasn't paying attention to the minimap. Wow. Okay, so this is like another tell that there's a random probe out here. Go Rush has got to start thinking, where are the additional bases? Do they exist somewhere else? Cannons need to fall, if possible. There are 2 Reavers here. One of the Reavers is actually getting hit. It can't get any further away. And in fact, the weird AI is causing the Reaver to die because it can't burrow away. The observatory here too, so critical to get more observers out. I helped us out. The Hydras are on the hunt. The Hydras are going to see this ninja base. DeWalt is finally going to get revealed over here. The forge coming down. The cannon come down. But the cannons are too late. There's nothing to defend this base, and I think these Hydras are just going to be a little bit too much. Oh, DeWalt's going to have to call it. He's surrounded on all sides, not able to take advantage of this. Final Reaver pushes out, tries to get as many kills as it can, but the two bases of Go Rush are going to be too strong. Look at that Forge as it goes down again. And as the Reaver almost dies, GG for DeWalt. And it's going to be a final score of 1-4 as Go Rush defeats him and wins 2 matches of the day. Defeating True Touch and DeWalt, Go Rush is going to be the MVP of Week 2, Team Fat versus Team Ajae. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this with me. This has been a pleasure, and stay tuned for some closing messages. All right, take care, everybody. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this event. Thank you. It has been awesome to be your host today, BisuDagger. And just remember, even though I have this incredibly busy schedule, I will be having casters fill in for me in the future, and it is just so important that I continue to get your support. So thank you guys. Come out next week. We've got 2 more weeks to go, and let's just keep having fun with this league. Congratulations to Team Ajae again for taking the victory with a 3-1 and then throwing in that ace match too. It's such a blast to watch these two teams go at it, and they're really showing the best games possible. So week 3, I'm sure, will impress us as much as week 1 and 2 have. Guys, continue to donate to matcharena.com, throw in that coupon code FABREWAR, and I will see you guys in my future casts. Take care.